Hey boys and girls, I know I'm not there today, but we need to make sure we go over these proofs that are going to look like the ones you'll see on your test tomorrow. This is the first proof that was on our review. It says, given L is the midpoint of OM and KN, prove that triangle OKL is congruent to triangle MNL. Now, that given information was actually really good information because we know this point right here is going to be the middle of both of these lines right here. So OM and also KN. So that means that both pieces are going to be congruent right here. And also both pieces, I'm going to put 2 tick marks on this one, are going to be congruent right here, if I can do it. Oh, there we go. All right, so we will start out with L is the midpoint. Ooh, it's harder to write on this than it looks. Of OM and KN. And that is your given. But then we need to say that our pieces right there are congruent as well. So we got KL is congruent to NL. OL is congruent to ML. And that is all because of that one word right there, midpoint. So right here, this should be definition of midpoint. Now, that's all we have from our given, so now we got to look into our pictures. So look carefully. Hopefully you notice, right there, we have vertical angles, and we know vertical angles are congruent. Now you can't just say angle L right there. You actually have to name it using the 3 letters. So we're going to say angle KLO is congruent to angle NLM. And it's because they are vertical angles. Sorry this is so sloppy. It's hard to write on this. And if we look carefully, we have one of our 5 wonderful properties that will prove triangles are congruent. This one is SASSY. Side, angle, side. So we can say triangle OKL is congruent to triangle MNL. All right, we're going to move on to the next triangle. Let's see what we got. All right, so right here, we are told that BI is congruent to RI, and ID is perpendicular to BR. We are going to prove that angle B is congruent to angle R. Now notice, this time, we're not proving the triangles are congruent. We're not going to stop there. We're going to say that that one part is congruent. So here's our 2 sides. We're going to do statements on the left, reasons on the right. Just pretend that's an R. Okay. And we're going to start out with the given. BI is congruent to RI. ID is perpendicular to BR. Now, that perpendicular is going to be very important. What do perpendicular lines do? Not only do they intersect, but they have to form a right angle. And that's going to be very important for what we need. So that's what we're going to say on step 2. We got to talk about how it's forming these right angles right here. Okay, so we're going to say angle IDB equals 90. And angle IDR also equals 90. It's on both sides. And the reason we know that is because of that word perpendicular. So we're going to say def of perpendicular. All right, so that's all we have from the given. Look in your picture now. It's time to see if you noticed anything. And I see that these triangles are back to back, sharing a side. So we got to say that ID is congruent to ID. And that's going to be the reflexive property. Notice we got the X, and we mark our X reflexive property right there. Now, it might be hard to tell, but because it is a right triangle, we actually do have a hypotenuse that is marked congruent, and also this leg right here that we just talked about, ID. So these two triangles are congruent. Triangle BID is congruent to triangle RID because of HL, hypotenuse leg. Look at that. And because they are congruent triangles, can I say that angle B is congruent to angle R? I sure can, and that's what I'm going to do right here. Angle B is congruent to angle R because of CPCTC. Now that's going to be a question on your test tomorrow. Do you remember what that means? CPCTC? I hope you're all saying it together right now. It's corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. And the only parts that triangles have are angles and sides. All right, let's go ahead and flip over to the next page and we'll do our last. Oh, this one's a good one. All right, so we are given BO is congruent to CO. So I'm going to mark that. Oop, boop. AO is congruent to DO. Maybe. There we go. All right. So that first step does need to be given. And our goal is to prove that angle B is congruent to angle C. So we don't have any definitions here, so we have to look in our picture. Do you notice anything wonderful about our picture? There's no reflexive property, but we do have these wonderful angles right here that are vertical, and we know vertical angles are congruent. So this right here, they are congruent because they are vertical angles. Excellent. And if you look closely, we have side, angle, side is our property. You always want to make sure you are marking your triangles. If you don't, you will have no clue why the triangles are congruent. It could be any of the five: side, 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 angle, side, angle, side, angle, 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 side, or HL. And you have to have it marked to know which one it is. Now, because they are congruent, can I say that this angle B is congruent to angle C? Yes. All right, let's try again. CPCTC. And our last proof. Oh. All right, so this last proof, let's see. Ooh, we are told some good stuff on this one. It says SR is congruent to UT. SR is also parallel trying to make these, sorry, I can't draw it small. Okay, so those two sides are parallel. Angle S is congruent to angle U. So it's this angle right here. And we are trying to prove that line ST is parallel to UV. So I'm going to highlight that right here. ST and UV. That's our goal, is to say that those two are parallel. Now that's kind of back on our old chapter that we did, where we had the converse angle pairs. So that's what that's using. Alright, so right here we're going to start out with our given information. And then they said that angle 1 is congruent to angle 4. Now remember, these two sides, those are parallel. The blue lines are parallel. So angle 1 and angle 4 is what kind of angle pair? Corresponding. So these are corresponding angles. And when lines are parallel, corresponding angles are congruent. Alright, the next thing they said was that these two triangles are congruent. Okay, and if you look closely, we have angle S and angle U. And we already knew that these two sides were congruent. So we have angle, side, angle. So this one is angle, side, angle. Okay, now, because the triangles are congruent, can we say angle 3 is congruent to angle 2? Boop. Yes, and this is your C, P, C, T, C. Now, we actually have one more step, because we have not proven that the lines are parallel yet, but we actually have what we need. If you look at 3 and 2, they are congruent. They're corresponding angles and they're congruent. So doesn't that make our two lines parallel? It sure does. So we're going to say line ST is parallel to UV. And do you know the reason why? Corresponding angle converse. Yes, we're bringing all back. It's a full circle. It's got everything. This wonderful proof has everything in it. All right, I got some extra practice that Miss Chauncey is going to let you do. Please make sure that you are studying and getting ready for your day 2 part of your test. Be good. Love y'all guys. Bye.